Here's a sneak peek of what your Echo can do that we're going to discuss in this very episode.
Getting the latest episode of Blind Bargains Audio. Here it is from TuneIn.
From beautiful Orlando, Florida.
Go forward 5 minutes.
Access technology.
Well, hello. As you can see from our prelude, we're delving into our back catalog this week, an oldie but a goodie that had 5 times the listenership to this episode than most any other episodes in our 5 years of episodes. So I thought I'd dust this one off, maybe even add some goodies to it, dealing with navigating podcast and also about navigating Audible books or audiobooks. That's from the Audible company owned by Amazon on your Amazon Echo. And I'm going to even add in a few treats at the tail end of the episode, in addition to what is covered today about rewinding, fast forwarding, skipping, all those kind of things, maybe navigating by chapters. First off, I'd like to welcome you. My name is David Ward. To our new listeners, you're listening to the Echo Tips podcast, where we have little nuggetized episodes about the Amazon Echo and all its variety of equipment and home automation and all that kind of good stuff. And for our returning listeners, we'd like to welcome you back as well. And before we delve into this material and pull out our cassette tape and rewind, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Today's Echo Tip, we're going to be dealing with listening to podcasts and audiobooks through the Audible service on your Amazon Echo. And in particular, just not about listening to them, but about how to navigate in new ways that have recently been added. So in our former episode, in Season 1, Episode 14, we talked about playing podcasts. So if in particular you want to understand a little better about how to do that and where those podcasts are pulled from or how to go look it up or something like that, or where to find podcasts and listings of them, you might want to go back and look at Episode 14. Because today we're going to in particular be talking about the navigation techniques in order, like you think about fast forwarding or rewinding or playing the next episode or previous episode. We're going to talk about new techniques in that regard. But before we get too far along, it'd be good for you to mute your Amazon Echo's ears. So especially if you're listening to this tutorial, it'll be good to do that, because otherwise me invoking these things in studio could actually trip your Echo. And we don't want that. So on the top of your Echo, if you have a round one, there should be a little silhouetted microphone with a slash through it. If you push that button, it'll turn the ring on top red and it'll make a little thump sound. And that tells you that her ears are shut off. And so that way I can talk and it won't be tripping your Echo at home. If you have one with a screen on the top, it has a similar button along the top edge. If the screen's facing you, it's usually on the top left. And when you press it, it'll put a little red bar at the bottom of the screen. And that tells you that her ears are shut off as well. So I'll just give you a moment to do that. Just take a second to do that. And, all right, hopefully you got it. All right, then we'll proceed here in the studio and let you hear about some of these new navigation techniques. All right, so in regards to podcasts, just as a quick reminder, are on-demand radio. A lot of radio shows, other content is available in podcast form. In the community I work with, a lot of visually impaired individuals or legally blind. There's a lot of really good podcasts that are put on by blind individuals across the United States and around the world. And what the challenge I run into with some of the podcasts I listen to is they're very long. They're very long. Some of them could be an hour or two, and I enjoy that. But if I come back home or I'm listening to one at work and then I come home and I want to pick up where I left off, how do I do that? In former times, it wasn't possible to do that. Or maybe, and I'll be bad in a way, even if you want to skip maybe a commercial in an episode. So let me give you an example. A podcast from the Blind Bargains podcast. So let me give you an example. They're usually pretty long. Alexa, play the Blind Bargains podcast.
Getting the latest episode of Blind Bargains Audio. Here it is from TuneIn.
From beautiful Orlando, Florida, it's blindbargains.com coverage of ATIA 2019, brought to you by AFB Access World. For the latest news and accessibility information on mainstream and access
Alexa,
technology, Apple, Google, Microsoft.
Go forward 5 minutes.
Access technology.
Is both a Braille display and a standard Bluetooth.
Alexa, go back 30 seconds.
You just want played out. It's really
Alexa,
a context thing because if you
stop.
have the context, you think.
So it might have been hard to hear. Hopefully, we'll get that in a way that's easy for you to hear. But once I have the podcast going, I can control the way I interact with it. I can jump forward 5, 10 minutes. I could give whatever the minute. Even if it's like an hour long, I could say jump ahead 30 minutes because I might have listened to half of the show already at work or somewhere else, So very powerful. I love the jumping back too. Like, let's say you just missed something. You're like, oh, what was the name of that website? They just said what? You say, just go back 30 seconds. And you might notice it has that audible chime too that kind of tells you that it's processing and that the command is finished. So that's a very, very powerful feature. And it also extends, I believe, to the audiobooks through the Audible service. In fact, I could test that right now. Alexa, play my Audible book.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming the Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
This is Audible.
Alexa, go forward 10 minutes.
Then concealed his face in his hands.
Alexa, stop. So yeah, you have some additional controls sometimes in the audiobooks too, because they're segregated by chapters or things like that. So I could use chapter controls. You might want to look back to our tutorial on audiobooks for that information as well. Hey, well, thank you for listening to our back catalog. Oh, wait a minute. Do I sound a little weird here? Let's see. Let me make an adjustment here. Okay. So, thank you for listening to our back catalog. This was a very popular episode from yesteryear about navigating podcasts. But I do want to bring us forward to the year 2023 with just a few additional notes about podcasts. So you can also start a podcast all over by just saying, "Hey, lady, restart," or start over, something like that, and she will start right over again because you may not know how many minutes to go back to start over, but I've missed a lot. Let's just start over. That's, of course, an option. You also may be stuck in last week's episode and you already know, hey, a new episode came out yesterday and this I'm not too interested in. So, of course, you also have the option of saying, "Hey, lady, next or previous." And that will jump you around in the listing of podcasts that you're presently listening to. In a handful of podcasts, including ours, you can specify an episode. You can say, "Hey, lady, play episode 39, play episode 101. And she will jump to that episode. So pretty snazzy, pretty cool, and we really enjoy it. And the beauty of Modern Echoes, too, since I did that podcast way back when, is the ability for her to remember where you left off, which is really awesome as well. And I would tell you a neat trick one, too. This, I think, is a change in her settings. Is I have a tendency sometimes to go to an Echo and say resume podcast, and she will resume on whatever podcast Echo I was playing it on earlier, which may be all the way over in my bedroom, maybe over out in the living room, but I'm here in the office now. So you can also say resume podcast here. I've done that. And we've talked about that before, like transferring music, but this would transfer the podcast over and pick up where you left off at the echo that you're talking to at that exact moment. It's kind of funny because I don't think they'd always work that way. Usually if I just said resume podcast, she would know enough to just play on the one I was on. This seems to be kind of a bug we're dealing with lately, or I don't know, a feature, if you will, because she ends up playing across the room at whatever echo I was listening to previous. So that's a little frustrating. So A-Lady, resume podcast here. So that might be something to try as well. And I might be in a segment of A/B testers where I'm experiencing that, but you listeners may not. So it's hard to say sometimes. But anyway, if you'd like to reach out to me with thoughts or suggestions, please do so on Facebook or Twitter at our official Goodwill Industries of the Valleys accounts. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions. I've even got some feedback at my own personal account on Mastodon and Twitter. And so we love the feedback. I love it. I need suggestions, and they're very, very much appreciated. Well, until next time, do you know what time it is? It's time to turn the ears back on your Echo, start practicing some of the many things that you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem, ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew! Thanks for listening.